Hi, everyone. Welcome back and happy Saturday. All right. So we're back to talk about Teresa Giudice and Luis Ruelas because basically, from what I'm gathering right now, it seems like it is Margaret Joseph's and the Gorgas' fault that there is this bad rap, this negative perception of Luis Ruelas. But she's praising him over his amazing business sense, um, how great of a guy he is, all of the things, which is an interesting time. She's gonna stand by his side all the way through. We saw her do this with Joe Giudice. Who knows what's going to happen? Heather McDonald had an interesting prediction. We're gonna play it, and Katie Casey. We're just gonna go through the whole thing. This is an absolute. It's a shit show. It's a shit show. So, just getting back to it, she ended up doing this podcast interview where she was defending Louie, right? So, what could she possibly have said about Louie? Well, as she was talking about him, she praised Louis because she said he has a lot of business achievements, notably taking his company public shortly before they met, which is that's huge. So she was talking about her admiration for his accomplishments, especially that one, taking the company public. Again, that is massive. And I guess that this all aligns with her mother's wishes for her to be with somebody good. So that would be Louis. Louis is that man who aligned with her mother's wishes. I think that's beautiful. I don't know if I don't know if her brother would agree with that, but I also don't think that she gives a shit what her brother thinks to begin with. Now, on top of that, she did have some criticism when it came to her family, the Gorgas, and also Margaret Josephs, because she said the negative perceptions of Louis and comments that have been made by her family that has contributed to this negative perception by the fans, which I'm sitting here trying to wrap my mind around it. So the negative perception of her husband is due to Margaret Josephs and the Gorgas, when in all actuality, when he first came on the show, there was that weird video that came out where he went to that camp with he was shirtless with all the guys, and people thought that was a red flag. Then there was the woman who kept coming forward and saying that Louis had Bodito and all these other people allegedly going to her place of work and spying on her, and how he was a narcissist, and she went in on him hard. She talked about how abusive he was, allegedly. Like the woman listed off all of these things. Do we know it to be true? No, we didn't see it, so we can't sit here and say that he is any of these things unless you've been in the room with him, or unless it was proven in court that these things did happen. So that's not the case. But what I'm saying is that, and her coming forward, and then also the video, it just made for this weird dynamic. And then there were little moments on the show too where like Louis sat down with Joe and he said, "You want to know what I do for your daughters, or for the girls, for Teresa's daughters? I wear your father's pajamas before I go to bed. I wear your father's pajamas because I think that makes them feel better." And Joe was like, "What the fuck is that?" And then, of course, we've seen multiple times on the show where Louis does get frustrated. This is not his wheelhouse. It's reality TV. He gets pissed off when people come at him and things don't go the way that he wants. And he'll tell Teresa, "Be quiet, I'm talking." And he'll go in, and he just has this moment of just flipping the fuck out. Just like when he talked about Margaret's son in that scene. It was wild. It was bizarre. Those are multiple things that contributed to the negative perceptions of Luis Ruelas. I mean, I I think that the other things add up. I think that the cast is going to talk about his past with other women, things that are coming out. That's a part of the show. That's the premise of the show, your real life, real things that are happening. But she refuted any concerns about his integrity and said that he has the best heart ever. Now, as for the financial challenges, we know that we've already talked about this, but both of them are dealing with significant tax issues amounting over $3 million at this point. So Teresa is facing the lien of approximately about 303,000 and like change, while Louise is a lot more. It's nearly like 2.6 million. But the 2.6 million is still her debt because she didn't get a prenup. And clearly this is going to draw a lot of public scrutiny because she's had previous legal troubles. And on top of that, they live a very opulent lifestyle. So people are going to be talking about it. But Teresa did share that her daughters are fully supportive of her marriage to Louie. They love Louie and his family, and they have comments. They give her comments or comment to her about the family, like, Louie is your guy. And she even described her youngest daughter, Adriana, as being encouraged to engage more on TikToks and reflecting a modern approach to social media and having this presence and just like really, like putting herself out there now. And he wants her to do that, which I agree with that. Listen, if Louie is over here encouraging the girls to have social media platforms and take advantage of this platform that they already have, I think that that's incredible because they should. And that's smart. That's great business. And for him, that's really smart. Do I agree with the other time when he was on the show and he said, I told the girls to wear thongs and dance up on the tables because you're only young once. So wear your thongs and dance up on the tables. No, like that's fucking weird. That's a weird thing to say, but I don't know. Now, in this interview, this podcast interview that she did reflect a little bit on reality TV, and she had some regret about certain decisions, especially specific agreements related to the show. She didn't really get into the details of those, and I don't think that she would. But it's interesting. I think that would apply to anyone. I don't think that that's like some big story here. She also shared that she has a hall pass, and that's Michael Marone, who, funny enough, is the ex of Sarah Al-Madani from the Real Housewives of Dubai. But she was being very, very playful, cutesy, like funny, silly about it. It wasn't like this big, like, oh my God. Yeah. But as far as like what she said specifically when it came to the liens, though, she said, yeah, there's a lien. It's a part of life. We're working through it. And that really is what it is. We're going to see what comes out of it. And I'm sure they'll get it paid. Hopefully. But Heather McDonald and Katie Casey have a prediction.
Teresa and Louie of Real Housewives of New Jersey. Yes, he owes these taxes well into the 2 millions. Mm-hmm. She also has a tax bill herself in the 300,000s. I just had another vision, and it's not a good one. It's not a good one.
I don't think he likes him.
And Louie do one of those pay-per-view boxing things. It's going to happen.
I don't think
I'm sorry to tell you.
Likes them. No way. You know what my prediction is?
I just gave Louie the idea. He probably hadn't thought of it yet.
I predict
what?
That Teresa comes home one day and there's nothing in the house. He's cleaned the house out and he's moved to another country and he never talks to her again.
Is that before or after he fights Joe Giudice in a pay-per-view YouTube?
I'm going to say after
boxing. So we do that.
This is going to be like an Unsolved Mysteries where Luis Ruelas just disappeared into the night. And then they're going to have to go through the sequence of events of the first marriage and the second marriage,
like Housewife,
the wedding, not signing the prenup.
And then Hulu Impact does a thing on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think it's up there for Netflix. I think it's a Hulu Impact. Teresa and Louie of...
Okay. Well, there you go. Especially for the Juicy Scoopers and Katie Casey. I love both of them. I think that both Heather McDonald and Katie Casey are fabulous. I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are. Do I think that Louie's going to take off and run away? No. Do I think that there's going to be some boxing match? No. Neither one of those predictions are going to come true, but they're having a little fun. So, yeah. I want to hear what you guys think, guys. Pop off in the comment section. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, and we'll see you next time. Love you guys.